Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Malvika Singh, a junior resident from KGMU, and I'm going to speak on my topic that anti-VEGF therapy results in significant improvement of the disorganization of retinal inner layers in diabetic macular edema. Now, in this slide, we can see that the burden of disease of diabetic retinopathy is huge. It affects almost 93 million people worldwide. The prevalence of diabetic macular edema, which is a treatable form of diabetic retinopathy, is between 11 and 15%, and nearly 21 million people worldwide have this. As we all know, that vascular endothelial growth factor is a well-known idiopathogenic factor of diabetic retinopathy. It has been seen that a significant elevated level of serum VEGF comes into play even before the clinical evidence of diabetic retinopathy is seen. And an increase in VEGF has been found to correlate with an increase in central subfield thickness on SDOCT. As we all know, anti-VEGFs are the first-line treatment of diabetic macular edema. In this study, we had taken bevacizumab as an anti-VEGF agent. It is a full-length humanoid monoclonal antibody having a molecular weight of 149 kilodaltons. There are 4 retinal inner layers which can easily be visualized with SDOCT. SDOCT gives an in vivo histology of the retina. They are from inwards to outwards, the ganglion cell layer, the inner plexiform layer, the inner nuclear layer, and the outer plexiform layer. Disorganization of retinal inner layers was defined as the failure to ascertain any of the 4 layers of the retina on SDOCT and was graded as grade 0, which was the absence of drill, and grade 1, which is the presence of drill. Now coming on to the pathogenesis, it all starts with hyperglycemia, which causes the production of advanced glycation end products. These molecules cause basement membrane thickening, pericyte loss, increased expression of ICAM1 and VEGF, oxidative and nitrosative stress, which causes capillary endothelium damage and leads to fluid accumulation between the retinal inner layers, and even more expression of VEGF, which increases even more angiogenesis, vascular hyperpermeability, and a prothrombotic response, which causes further damage and leads to drill and an increase in CST. In this study, I had taken a written informed voluntary consent from all the 44 consecutive patients of DME aged 40 to 65 years. All study subjects underwent detailed ophthalmological examination, including fundus evaluation and SDOCT. My outcome measures were logMAR VA, CST, and drill. These were measured at baseline and at monthly intervals after each dose of intravitreal bevacizumab was given. A total of 3 such doses was given. Coming on to results, we observed that logMAR VA improved significantly from 1.78 at baseline to 0.42 at the 3rd dose. CST improved from about 354 micrometers to 233 micrometers. And improvement in the disorganization of retinal inner layers was seen as 93.2% patients in which drill was initially present dropped to only 13.6% patients after intervention, making 86.4% study subjects to be free from drill. We also observed a significant positive correlation between CST and visual acuity. This correlation further improved post 3 doses, suggesting a beneficial effect of intravitreal bevacizumab therapy. Coming on to the discussion, drill actually correlates to the region in the retina where the bipolar cell, horizontal and amacrine cell synaptic connections have been disrupted. This occurs in DME when the axons of the bipolar cells snap after the elasticity limit has been exceeded by the fluid. This causes an interruption in the transmission between ganglion cell layers and the photoreceptor cell layers, leading to a decrease in visual acuity. In conclusion, it has been seen. In conclusion, anti-VEGF therapy improves drill with associated improvement CST. Drill can also be used as a biomarker for predicting future visual acuity.